she doesn't speak England, you know.
Your first failure, as you put it, is failing academically. So how did you struggle academically?
I am sort of quite dyslexic, and I mean, Dick says she doesn't speak England, you know. I don't speak English. I'm always making up words. But you know, I mean, I'm a 78 baby, so
Ditto. We bonded over that at the beginning. Yes.
And my brother, who's also dyslexic, he's 7 years my senior. And very interestingly, if you think about, you know, lots of people talk about dyslexia now and sort of, you know, like-minded sort of things, but no one really knew about it. It was really, really new and untouched. And I think where my brother really struggled, soon as to get the teachers to understand, I guess, soon as I started having similar traits, let's say, my mum and dad were straight, sort of like, you know, my daughter clearly has a learning sort of issue. And you know, I had all the tests, great, dyslexic. But it was great understanding that. And I used to have to go out like once a week to sort of learn sort of special ways to, I guess, overcome it. But the truth is, I just think differently. You know, I've got part of my brain that thinks differently to somebody else that might be more academic. But I think in an old school way, the teachers were learning, let's say. So, you know, I just generally am not academic. And I think, you know, in my sort of in my school years, I think that was hard because, you know, I wanted to be really clever. You know,
yes.
I like to be good at everything I do, and I wasn't because, you know, I just don't have that type of brain.
Did it feel lonely at school?
Well, do you know, I was thinking about this. Like, I'm sure I used to come back and people used to say, where you been? And I swear, like, I think I sort of said, oh, I was at the doctor's. I'm sure I just come up with, like, made little white lies. Like, I never turned around to anyone and said, you know, I happen to go and learn sort of different traits. Interestingly, like now, I'm really proud of it. But it was because no one else was dyslexic. They probably was, you know, but they probably just didn't know about it. So
you said to me that you had such a fear of being asked to read aloud in class that it made you physically sick.
Yeah, I hated. So our in our literature class, this was in secondary school, the teacher would be in every sort of English class. Everyone would just take a book and we would just all go around and read. And just before every class, I'm going to physically be sick, you know, just I hated the fact that the spotlight was on me and I had to read out loud. I mean, I still hate it now, you know, but it's just because long words sort of, I can't see them all, you know.
And what was the knock-on effect for you in exams?
Do you know, I think I just did really average, you know. It's fine. You know, I was never going to be a doctor. So it's a good job that was not my passion. So I did really average. I did really well in business studies. I remember getting an A+, and there was only one other person that did that because that's all about common sense. You know, I'm not blessed academically, but I'm blessed with common sense, you know what I mean? And you can't learn that anywhere. So, you know, it was fine. And I just think because I knew I wasn't academic, I think you just find your own path.
Yeah, and I think there's a difference between being blessed academically and being blessed intellectually. As in, you're a very intelligent person, and school as it was then was not geared up to meet the needs of your specific intelligence.
Oh, you're so good. You've just nailed that. Why didn't I say that?
No, you did say that.
No, it is. You've just. This is the difference. You know, I go the long way around saying things, but you're right. It just was not geared up for it. And actually, this is not a poor me moment. It was just, you know, this is just facts. It was a time where everyone was educating themselves about it, and now there is so much stuff out there. I'm so pleased that people don't, you know, that they're all tooled up for it, which is fantastic. Which just means that they're more empowered to do anything that they want. I mean, for me, not being academic just meant that I was slightly, you know, I just was finding my own path, and actually probably allowed my right side of my brain, the creative side, to sort of be to flourish a little bit more.
Yeah, why do you think that is? Is that because you're not governed by the same rules that actually it becomes a kind of superpower because you can see things differently?
I think it is. I think if you fight against it and you try and make the other side work a little bit harder, I think it suppresses the other side of your brain, and in a way I kind of just I when I got to college I just accepted for me who I was, and I just thought I'm just gonna go along with this, and I had no desire to go to university. I just thought, what use would that be to me? You know what I mean? So I just carried on sort of working. I went and did a work experience in an accountancy firm, and actually really loved a spreadsheet. And I do.
It's the bullet points.
It's a bullet point.
And also the other thing that you should know, listeners, is that Angel arrived with a bag of presents for me, which is the sweetest thing ever. And there are desk planners in there, which so speaks to my sense of organisation. But clearly it comes from that.
You're going to get obsessed with those desk
I know,
planners.
I already am.
Do you know, I sent one to my dear friend, and then she just called me up and she says, I need 30 of them. And I was just like, okay.
So I want to come back to that idea of navigating a different life path for yourself. But I want to ask you about your childhood. So we've heard your dad was a jeweler. What about
Yeah.
your mum?
So mum was always supportive of my dad. So she always did the books. She used to work in the shop. She used to run up to Hatton Garden, and which I used to go with my dad as well. So mum was always she was the one making dinner, sewing us outfits. She was always had a project on the go. So they were both really kind of hands-on, working hard. And mum didn't. So dad was literally a jeweler his entire life. That was his profession, and that's how he cared and brought up his family. And actually when towards the end of sort of when my mum was in her 50s, mum's a great cook, really good, and she's a feeder. Her whole family sort of are feeders, and she actually said, do you know what, I'm gonna do something for myself. And she opened up a restaurant.
What?
In her 50s. I thought,
Wow, this runs in the family. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out the full episode of How to Fail on your preferred podcast platform, and also be sure to follow us on social media for the latest updates.